Welcome back to the Professional Lovers Channel. She's Patty.
And he's Al. And we're the Professional Lovers. Married 27 years and in our 28th.
Yes.
And as the months flying by, it won't be long till we'll be saying married 28 years.
We're 30. We're 50.
Okay. Yeah. 50,
Lord willing.
50
keep us alive. I know.
Ooh, anyway.
Just thorough.
We're glad you're here, and we hope that what we talk about tonight will give you some tips and some things to think about, insights into
your own relationships.
Yes, and seeing how you can strengthen them, nurture them, maintain them, or even start one at a what would you say? At a higher level of knowledge and understanding. So, we talk about relationship issues through the lens of Married at First Sight. And so, here we go. We hope that you will like, share with other people who you think would enjoy this, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Because we know there are a lot of people out there who talk about Married at First Sight. So we just hope that we add something to the discussion that is beneficial to you as a person listening. So let's get started with our first couple. And we started going in order because I realized that if we left Chris and Paige to the end for every single episode, it's like we're just ending on a sour note. So let's just go in order. And so Brinson. Hey, Brianna and Vincent.
Yeah.
Brinson.
They're a couple.
Brianna and Vincent are our first couple. And it was great to discover that Vincent got as far as the parking lot.
Yes.
Yeah, the way he walked out last week and said he was going home. And she asked the correct question to the camera. Well, where is home?
True.
Because right now, home is supposed to be with her.
He left home.
He left home to be home. But yes, thankfully, he got to the parking lot and realized, where was I going?
Yeah.
Because I don't live there anymore right now.
Exactly.
I live with a wife.
But more importantly, why was he going?
Yeah, well, he was going because he was mad.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody doesn't just leave things just because they're mad. Sometimes you want to fix things. Sometimes you want to rectify some, so I'm just saying.
Well, just as we said during the show tonight, these couples are building a friendship and marital relationship at the same time.
Yeah.
And
which in itself is at best awkward.
Yeah, so they have no foundation of knowledge, understanding, friendship.
No barometer to guide their path.
To base their reactions
True.
and responses on.
True, especially with each other.
Yeah. So, his immediate reaction to get some air and to leave, on one hand you can say, well, he was doing a good thing by not
blowing up or reacting.
Right. Which has been the basis of our silent fights.
Yeah.
To not say something that you would regret later on in the heat of the moment.
Collect your thoughts and address the situation. So respond to it as opposed to react to it.
Yeah. But until you can get to that point where you know each other well enough to react differently, or in their talking about it, she created, I think, another safe place. Yeah, safe place. Yeah, to say, when you feel like that, tell me.
Yeah. Because she is a direct person, so I feel.
And she asks questions.
Right, and she asks some appropriate questions. I mean, just understanding that she is a different type of individual. She's more direct. She knows that her husband is sensitive, so maybe she feels that she could dial things in a little bit, but she still has to understand where to dial it in or how to dial it in. So in their addressing the situation, they came to a good understanding. But I think it was even better for Vincent in particular, to be addressed by his friend.
Yeah.
Who gave him a little more insight as to, the commitment that you're in. Running is not an option.
And he said, running for that? You were going home for that?
Yeah, he was kind of laughing at the whole situation the whole time, which made me wonder, because I was just looking at Vincent and just seeing how he would, respond to his friend who knows him, laughing at his situation, and fortunately he didn't take it wrong,
but we did find out why it hit him he was so extra sensitive to what Brianna said. Because he was trying to be smooth.
Yeah. He embarrassed himself.
And he was embarrassed. And her trying to make light of the situation to keep it light.
Hey, move on.
Be funny. That's what we saw her trying to do. Yeah. And he was embarrassed because he was trying to be smooth and he wasn't.
Suave boldness.
So, they were both coming at the situation from their own perspectives. Mm-hmm. And now one thing he did say that I don't agree with. He said that, I shouldn't have to tell her. I shouldn't have to tell you every time your comment is disrespectful.
Yes, you should.
That he needs her to communicate with him the way he communicates with her.
How is he supposed to? Nobody's a mind reader.
First of all, you just met.
Right.
That's number one. And number two, you're not the same person.
Exactly.
You're not going to communicate the same way. And I shouldn't have to tell you, there a lot of times, especially women can do this, but men do it too. But say, if I'm cleaning and there are things that need to be done and you're sitting and watching TV, the husband's sitting and watching TV, golf, basketball, whatever the case may be. And, she's, walking back and forth with laundry, or she's, she's busy. She's washing dishes or whatever, and getting madder and madder and madder because he's still sitting. And invariably, she will say to her girlfriends, why do I have to tell him or ask him? He sees me working. He sees me, walking around, doing this with the kids or doing that. And he should just know that I need help. No, he should not know. If you need help, you say, I need some help, please.
Simple.
Yes, you need to let her know what is disrespectful to you. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't disrespectful to her. True. She's making a joke. She apologized because she didn't know that she was disrespecting him. Yeah. And so don't assume.
You can't. I mean, not if you're learning. If you're learning, that's like, when you absolutely have no clue as to something and you think you're going to ask a dumb question because it's going to educate you about the situation. There is no dumb question because you want to learn. I mean, that should be your purpose. That should be your intention, to find out exactly where, your tendencies, propensities, preferences are, and just reflecting on back with us. We used to have a little word that, because my wife is very direct. I mean,
I'm the same way.
Very similar. Yeah. Very similar. And I can even say that I can kind of relate to Vincent. I'm probably not as sensitive, but...
so what you saying?
No, well, just referencing back to when we used to have misunderstandings about how we would say things to one another. Mm-hmm. We came up with a little word. We used to say bitey, to say that was a little snippy. That was a little extra there. We dial it back just a little bit. But even then, it was a growing situation in which we we found a neutral ground where we would be able to communicate with each other on something that was not comfortable, you know. And that's how you grow.
Or if one of us is having a reaction based on what we think the other is saying, and it's really not that.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
There was an assumption involved in that.
Right. And you do not assume.
Right.
Okay. You don't assume. And the tip that we will relate to Brianna and Vincent from the book Becoming a Professional Lover is that you must acknowledge that everyone has a personal love style.
Yes.
He is not going to love like you, and you are not going to love like him. He's not going to communicate like you, and you are not going to communicate like him.
Sure.
You have to acknowledge that you are different and you come at things differently, and you have to accept it and respect it, and then it becomes my responsibility to give him things in the way that he can receive them, and vice versa. And yes, that's hard. Loved. Yeah, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Because you automatically want to operate and speak from yourself. But you have to learn to operate and speak from each other.
True.
Yeah.
You share.
All right. Virginia and Eric. So they were apart.
She had a wedding to go to for a couple of days, and so roles were reversed as opposed to him being away for job. But again, just coming back, she had a wedding, and his desire was that those few days, 3-4 days that she was gone, that she would miss she would miss him. Being the one away, and he was home taking care of the dogs and yada yada yada.
Well, and it was not just that she was the one away, but she was away with her friends.
Her comfort zone.
In her comfort zone with her posse. And would she miss him being with her posse? Yeah, and that was really important for him.
Definitely. And actually, I was kind of even surprised that they alluded to how they communicated during the time that they were out, away from one another. And it seemed like he said something to the effect that, they were like touching base with each other every couple of hours or what have you. And I think he was appreciative of that. I was appreciative that she was even willing to do it, because I can imagine that at one time or another, well, assuming how we see her consume beverages, that at one point in time she would probably maybe not be able to dial her phone number. But, everybody handles it differently.
I was surprised that she didn't find it to be too much.
Yeah.
As the independent spirit that she is. Right. Because when they were comparing notes after she got back home, and he says, was it too much? And she was like, no. But she was nervous because this episode tonight was also about the friends coming through, and them entertaining their friends, the couples entertaining their friends, and she was nervous because her guy friends were coming over. She feels like Eric is jealous of guys, and I don't really think that that's what that is.
No, he's a little more seasoned, and he needs to know that she's in a safe place.
Not only that, he needs reassurance that she's got married to be married.
True.
And it seems like everything hangs on that.
Yeah. He
needed reassurance. So when her friend called him out to the balcony,
pulled him aside,
and just giving some advice, said, don't come across as controlling. He handled that really well because, of course, number one, that showed that Virginia had been talking to the friend.
Right.
About
their relationship and how she feels he is.
And he could have gone off like, what do you mean controlling? What does that mean?
Exactly.
How do I control her?
But he didn't.
He did not. He kept himself open. He let the guy talk through.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that. And he didn't take it the wrong way.
It served him well to listen.
Because after her friend explained that she really does want to be
in this
married in the relationship, that it calmed some of Eric's
anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah.
It calmed some of Eric's anxiety.
And he got an opportunity to see them and be in the same environment and relaxed, and it was a social gathering, and he realized that they are friends of hers.
And then when he talked to his friends separately, when they were at lunch, and that friend, his friend said, I'm kind of on her side. You need to make sure that you don't talk down to her.
Exactly.
Like, that you're not like trying to be a coach type of thing. You're her husband. And we kind of talked about that last week, about this kind of parental role that some spouses can.
Life is all
about. Yeah. And because he's done it before, he's been married before. So, his friend was like, calm down on that. I'm the seasoned one. You're the kid. Yeah. I've got all the experience. You don't know, what this is like. And just give her some space to learn what it's like.
And actually, all the friends did very well with the respective spouse that they were dealing with.
Right.
And just being honest, forthright, probing, but not probing of the relationship, probing of the individual.
Right.
To see
their friend.
What are you doing about this situation? How are you involved in this situation? What are you contributing to the situation? Are you all in? Or so there was some good probing questions that were put forth by the friends.
Yeah, they played a great role in tonight's episode. So the tip that we have for Eric and Virginia is respect each other's needs and ideas as important. She needs Eric to respect the fact that she has guy friends that he can trust her with, and to respect her as an individual who is who she is.
Yeah. And can, for lack of a better term, handle herself.
Yes. Even with their differences. And then she needs to respect that he wants to make sure that she is okay.
Yeah. That she's in a safe environment.
And to remember that now there are two people in the relationship and it's not just you.
True.
So, all right, Paige and Chris. Chris went to his pastor friend and another friend, and they told him about himself. The way I wish that Pastor Cal had told him about himself, but maybe it was best that his true friend and people who know him, who he respects, told him about himself, and then he didn't like them anymore. As in, he
was done with the
he tuned out, rudely started looking at his phone, talking about, I'm done with this conversation. After they told him what we have been saying all along.
You're
all
selfish.
Of us. You're selfish. You're immature. You are willing to throw away a commitment that you made to God and your wife, who should trump everybody else. And he was over it because they weren't saying what he wanted to hear. And it's interesting. You're going to say something.
No, I just don't understand where his brain is at.
I was going to say, it's interesting that he keeps insisting that he is not or not doing exactly what he is doing and acting.
Yeah, and I guess I wonder, with what he's doing, what outcome is he anticipating? What is he expecting?
What outcome did he anticipate to have the two women meet and talk? About what? You've already said you want a divorce.
That's an idiot of a man. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't normally talk about the individuals the way I talk about. And tell us why,
from a man's point of view. I'm sure there are some who really want to know that.
Gentlemen, at what time ever in your life have you ever won an argument against two women? You barely win against one. How are you going to win against two that you have, especially ones that you have rubbed wrong? I mean, I don't understand what his purpose for trying to get them together to talk about what? What discussion was there? I mean, maybe I'm the knucklehead. I mean, it's just over
No.
my brain. I don't
No.
understand or comprehend that thought. I mean, at all.
Only to discover that he hasn't been straight up with the ex-fiance, mother of his child, which is a phrase he kept repeating over and over and over, the mother of my child. He hasn't been straight up with her any more than he's been straight up with Paige. He's been playing both sides of the fence. And unfortunately for him, it came out right on out since he put this little chit-chat together. And then once again, he got mad because they were telling him about himself. Now, so we know Chris is, and Paige used a great word, duplicitous. Okay. Let me talk about some issues with her. Just quickly, okay? Because ladies, especially if you're single and out there dating, remember that a man is going to treat you the way you allow him to treat you.
Very true.
Now, Paige is all about honoring her commitment. But Paige seems to waffle every time Chris pays her a compliment or expresses feelings for her. You asked.
And yeah, I was kind of baffled as to her reasoning behind responding to his words when he decides to say them, that, compliment or whatever the case may be. And I was wondering if, there was an esteem problem with Paige. And, I was tentative on using that word because I know from just the show that her efforts are sincere in trying to make this thing work. She has put forth the effort, the commitment, psychologically, physically, emotionally, toward making the relationship work. But in understanding, I mean, bombshell after bombshell after bombshell that comes out in his words, I just did not understand why, there was still a tendency, an opportunity, or a door that was cracked to allow him to just stick his lips through to say something else. I mean,
well, and for me, it's not just bombshell after bombshell. It is the double speak that he uses to her particularly. First, I was not attracted to you. I hope sex helped me grow attracted to you. Oh, I think I'm attracted to you. I'm spiritually attracted. I'm attracted to your spirituality. I'm attracted to, you're so smart. You're so intelligent. I think I'm in love. I'm still in love with my ex-fiance. I don't want to, but I think I'm falling in love with you. Come on. Okay? Enough. He has shown over and over and over again that he will say and do what is convenient for himself.
Yeah. And evidently it's worked in the past.
Even in the three-way conversation that really wasn't a three-way conversation.
No.
It was between the two women.
He tried to interject.
But even then. So, Paige, number one, in my book, should not have agreed to meet with the woman. If you tell me that you want a divorce,
we don't have to deal with each other anymore.
Then there's nothing to talk about.
And why would we bring somebody else into the conversation if we're severing ours?
Exactly.
I mean,
why do I need to talk to her?
Yeah.
When we're not going to be together anymore.
What, to prove to you that we're not going to be together so she can be with you and feel strongly about that?
And then to start...
maybe that might have been his reasoning.
What?
For the fact that they were getting a divorce and it be an exposed situation to his ex-fiancée that we're not together anymore, so we have a chance.
Yeah, well, she nipped that.
Yes, she did.
At least in words, because she was like, we're not talking about getting back together.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a
At least
bombshell
not
for him.
And I heard her say, not at this time.
But yeah, and then at the meeting, he begins to disparage Paige in front of her. Yeah. Now this is all your fault because you're trying to insinuate I didn't have pure motives. Your motives weren't pure because your motives were selfish. That's not pure. True. Your motives were selfish.
And this process took more than 6 weeks. Which
Okay.
means that you did something during the time in which Married at First Sight had already begun, that you initiated the process by interjecting yourself in it to be chosen, and you had done something that ended up having ramifications for life after you had started this process. So, duplicitous.
Single ladies and men, don't allow someone who's talking out both sides of their mouth to take up any more of your time.
You wrote a book about that too, kind of.
No, sort of.
Sort of.
But, you know.
The women's side of it.
Bottom line is, don't do that. You are valuable. You are a child of God. And you deserve to be treated with respect and unselfishness.
Dignity.
And anyone who is acting otherwise is waving a red flag that lets you know that you need to exit. The tip that we have for these two: remember that you are not the family. The family, the marriage does not revolve around you.
True.
It revolves around a partnership. A partnership of a husband, wife, and children when they come. Mm-hmm. So it's not a dictatorship. It is not it's not an authoritarian relationship. It's a partnership.
True that.
Okay, so you didn't marry yourself. You married another person. All right, so it doesn't revolve around you. Okie dokie. Now, enough of that. Haley and Jacob they're trying to work through their things.
They're working. They're working. And to me, I see the work aspect in them trying to establish a relationship. You know, it's taking effort. It's taking effort. And Haley has been single for a while.
And her friends say that she's kind of a commitment phobe.
Yeah.
Her friends said that.
Matter of fact, her friends kind of, didn't even address Jacob's issue, whatever that may be. They wanted, one friend in particular wanted to know, what are you committing to?
Exactly. I love that. Her friend said, what are you going to do to make an effort?
Yeah. What are you committed to do to make this thing work?
And she was the same one who seconded the other friend that when she starts getting close, she runs. Yeah, she sabotages herself because she's scared to get hurt. And there are people who do that.
A lot of guys do that.
Were you one of those?
Excuse me?
Huh? Did I stutter?
What?
As he would say, if you can,
you can hear.
But there are people who will sabotage a relationship because it's starting to get too close and
too intense,
and they get nervous because so for her friends to kind of out her like that, and he said he has felt that a little bit because she has pulled away, after they got intimate especially, and she started pulling away, and then he expressed the fear that whereas he was kind of all in at the beginning and she was kind of, standoffish, that, once they were intimate, he's scared things will flip, that, eventually she'll be all in and he'll be kind of standoffish and not really into it.
Because of how they're having to work at it. And he was all in, And I know it kind of took him out of character to, even be upset, because I don't think he's the type of person that gets upset, you know. But he was upset, not understanding why we get to a particular point and now suddenly, you know, we don't have communication. You're doing things a little differently. You're not being forthright with me, and you know, so.
Well, we know that a lot of that just was triggered by his baggage.
Yeah, and
you know,
yeah, misunderstanding of events and how it impacted him because of history or what have you.
So hopefully they're easing onto the same page, and so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Our last couple, Clara, had a lot of angst tonight because she is physically and sexually starving. Frustrated. Yeah, Ryan is moving at a snail's pace when it comes to physical certain levels. I get the feeling that they have some physical interaction, but they have not
consummated.
Had actual sex yet, and so their speeds are very different. Mm-hmm. And tonight she was expressing a lot of
reservations
about that.
Yeah.
And
all of his friends said that he's calculated and all of that. But I mean, okay, there's certain things you don't have to calculate, you know. Like, yeah. You know, I mean, you're married now. In some movie, the line was like, "This is a sure thing," you know. So you don't have to worry about that.
Well, and I don't think he's not sure it's a sure thing.
You're married. It's an official thing, whether it's sure or not. You're working on it.
Yeah. You know, there's such a balance that a person, especially in this situation, has to strike. We've talked about, you know, those like Paige who jump into sex right away and then they backtrack to try to build a friendship and that backfires. Mm-hmm. And then you have the ones like Ryan who just take too long. And it begins to get frustrating because we are not boyfriend and girlfriend, we're husband and wife. Mm-hmm. And then that backfires, right? Because you've starved the person. There is a balance that has to be struck, and where that is different for each individual.
True.
So hopefully he'll speed it up a little bit.
He's gonna have to.
Yeah, otherwise she's going to have a rough time hanging in there. But we'll see how that unfolds as well. So, that was everybody.
Yeah.
And so we will be back here, same time, same place, next week, mm-hmm. for another episode of What Can You Learn from Married at First Sight? Mm-hmm. Hopefully, you can learn a lot. Yeah. Until next week, stay safe. Peace.
Enjoy.